The Goodle Days presents a historical profile of the invention of the telephone. Question: what are you watching this video on? No, it's not a trick question. I haven't yet perfected the technology to transmit these videos onto your retinas. Yet. No, odds are it's a telephone. And on this day, March 7th in 1876, Alexander Graham Bell was granted a patent for his invention of it. So, the need to communicate with each other over long distances goes back a long time, basically to the dawn of humanity. Ancient peoples had experimented with things like signal fires, flag signaling, and gunshots to communicate long distances, and these sort of systems work great for communicating that barbarians are at the border. But what about sending a risky text message to the cute fishmonger's daughter across town? You could write a letter and send a kid on horseback to deliver it personally, but she could be married off by the time the message was received, so better technology was still in high demand. Enter modern telegraphy. Yes, by the 18th century, inventors had begun experimenting with ways to send and receive textual messages over vast distances using wires to transmit electrical signals. What a concept. All you'd have to do is lay down a few miles of wire with 2 telegraphs on either end, input a coded message via an electrical switch, which would send an electrical signal to the other end where a receiver would decode the message and deliver that message to your beloved in no time. Take that, horses. Next step would be to eliminate the need for coding and decoding and just send the human voice by itself. Enter Canadian-American inventor Alexander Graham Bell, a visionary with a dream to connect the world through sound. Bell's father was the famous elocutionist Alexander Melville Bell, who ironically has a very difficult name to pronounce, and Eliza Grace Bell, who would gradually lose her hearing during Bell's early childhood. These factors affected Bell deeply, and would shape him into a master of communication from an early age. Bell spent his early life studying and working with his father as a lecturer on what was known as visible speech, the system developed by his father for representing the position of speech organs used in articulating sound. His work with visible speech and with the deaf provided him with a position at Boston University, where he would begin experimenting with a system of telegraphy that would later become the telephone. So Bell, along with his assistant Thomas Watson, spent the years of 1874 to 1876 developing the technology into a workable invention. Meanwhile, another scientist named Elijah Gray was developing a very similar invention, and the two put their patent applications in at the same day. You know, one of those awkward moments like, oh my gosh, I developed a telephone at the same time as you. But different story, different day. We'll go over it some other time. Whether Bell's patent was first or not is hotly debated, but it matters very little in the grand scheme of things. The invention basically drove humanity into the information age, and now we use our phones for everything, not just to communicate. We can play games with them, we can browse the web with them, it can even read our prescription information if we're visually impaired. So thank you, Alexander Graham Bell, for the invention of the telephone. Want more history content like this? Follow the Goodle Days on all social medias, share the video, and tag a friend who loves history. We'll see you in the next one. Brought to you by ScripTalk, talking prescription labels for the visually impaired.